Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I am Donna, and this is my husband, Brian. Way back when we decided to do a podcast on men's mental health awareness, we started with Brian's story, given the backdrop of like his life growing up, his family. He suffers from panic disorder, anxiety, and depression. So we talked about when he noticed that kicking in, how he handles it, how he doesn't handle it, up to present day. We're not giving medical advice. It's just an open discussion. It's not geared towards kids. There's some adult content and language. So if you want to watch it with your kid, we would just suggest that you be there with your child.
And not have a problem with cursing.
If you're easily offended, this probably is not for you. But if you do like what you see, please subscribe and like. With that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about or get your experiences with people that you've known, family, friends, coworkers, other that have dealt with PTSD. So, can you? We'll give everybody the definition.
So PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. It is something that happens when you have a traumatic event in your life. I think the biggest issue, and this is just my opinion, I think the biggest issue is people use it as I don't want to say, they kind of like grab onto it. I'll give you an example. If you're walking down, say there's a number of streets, and you're walking down 14th Street, and there was a shooting on 11th Street. You didn't see it. All you heard was gunshots. That was it. Like no one ran past you or anything like that. And then you say, I now have PTSD from what happened that day.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You may be upset by it. It may make you nervous or anxious, but
it's not post-traumatic stress.
In my opinion, no.
So post-traumatic stress started years ago with the military, guys coming back from the military.
I believe it. I mean, I'm a little bit of a war history
I believe
person.
It was World War II. I think. I'm not sure, though.
I don't. I always associated it with Vietnam. But I'm assuming you could go probably to any war. They originally called it shell shock.
That was right, and then
from, because they just assumed it was from the explosions going off, and after so many, you just go into like a kind of numb state.
But that's my thing. If you're in a numb state, it's not technically post-traumatic. Post-traumatic is...
Okay, not numb, but kind of just glazed over.
Right. So I know people that are vets from Vietnam. I'll use my father as an example. He'll openly admit that he has it. Growing up, I did not see the PTSD with him. Like he would take us to fireworks. He would do this, that. I notice now, fireworks bother him. Lights on refineries bother him because that looks like the amber of when the bombs were going off. I remember one night, he scared the hell out of my mom. They were working on our street and they had the metal grates, and a car went flying over the metal grate and it made that sound. They were sleeping. He literally...
Sounds like an automatic weapon.
He jumped out of bed and hit the floor.
And a little backstory with him is he was a Special Forces combat medic. And what they did, were in like groups of 10 and would get dropped into a zone to help train the South Vietnamese on how to fight and, counterinsurgents, stuff like that. So he had to patch people up, and he'll even say like a lot of his stuff was treating like for malaria and stuff like that, but there were plenty of times where he was patching guys up, or
And to this day,
so he saw a lot of really nasty shit.
And to this day, one of the biggest, I think, complications he has is there were situations where he had to make the decision whether to treat the person or to let the person go.
And move on to somebody else.
Yeah. So with vets, it's different. What they see, it's horrendous. And I don't care what anyone says, even if it's not somebody on our side that they say it to, seeing a body blow up in front of you, I don't care if it's your enemy, your friend, your neighbor, it's hard.
It's still a person.
And I'm a first responder, so I've seen it firsthand with people in the first responder community. Losing a firefighter in a fire that everyone was at, it's firefighters, your police officers say they had the blue line. Well, the firefighters have the red line. It's no different. It is a brotherhood. It is a unity that is difficult. I remember firsthand a local police officer from around here was shot. Luckily, he had a vest on and he was okay, but it rocked the community. He was shot in the chest. He was responding to a unstable man call, and he was talking to him through the door, trying to resolve the situation, however you want to say it, and he got shot in the chest. And he did something to me. He did something that, in my eyes, was more heroic than anything. After that happened, he joined with a group, and they do a called Vest a Cop to make sure all the cops have vests now. So you can either, just because you have post-traumatic stress doesn't mean you fold. You can rise above and help people. So,
and there's ways to cope with it.
So there is. A lot of military guys would go to the firing range, which to me was very odd. But it's been proven to work. If you're dealing with a vet,
and if you're going to leave a comment about the guy that killed Chris Kyle, that wasn't from PTSD.
He was mentally unstable prior.
He was a schizophrenic and had all kinds of problems. So
yeah,
just leave that one out.
Vets, it's a lot. I think vets are a little different, though. Everyone wants to hear, what did you do when you were in the military? How was it? If they don't want to talk about it.
Here, I'll give you some questions never to ask somebody who has seen combat. Did you ever kill somebody? Did you ever see a dead body? Don't ask them that shit.
It's not funny. My son...
It's disrespectful. If I even heard somebody asking your father that, they would get punched way before your dad even got, like, a word out of his mouth.
So,
if he didn't punch him first.
My son... I don't even think my son was maybe 6 or 7. They were talking. And I don't know how the conversation came up, but my dad... Now, my dad has a very weird sense of humor. My dad goes, yeah, I was shot in the military. And my son was like, what? He goes, yeah, look, this is where they got me. And he pointed to his belly button. So my son had to be younger than 6 or 7. My son honestly thought for the longest time my dad had been shot. He wasn't. But yeah, there's certain things. My dad's pretty open with people that he's close to where he'll talk about it.
And me and him have sat in we've talked over the past 10 years. Like, I couldn't tell you how many hours of talking about not just Vietnam, but other wars and military stuff like that. But again, I never asked him, do you ever see any bodies?
Oh, I know he did.
Did you ever kill anybody? that was something that I was raised that you don't ask military people. It's one, it's none of your fucking business, and two, you're probably just going to upset them.
Yeah, I learned a lot about his military when I was doing his disability.
He's offered stuff up
Yeah.
as far as people that he's treated, the time at the mess hall, and why he doesn't eat liver.
Liver and onion saved his life.
The mess hall was serving liver. Now this was in Vietnam, close to the front lines.
I would guess, yeah.
Somewhere near there.
I just know they were serving liver and onions. He walked into the mess hall and walked out.
And it got shelled by mortars, and pretty much everybody inside it was killed.
Yeah.
So you don't want to bring like liver into the house. He would probably kill you.
And yet every time I say, what do you want for dinner? And he says, I don't know. I say, you want liver and onions? I think PTSD is...
His has definitely gotten worse.
It has. And they say, unfortunately, with age that happens.
Yeah.
I also think...
Well, how many... Like, you were a volunteer firefighter for years. You were also a volunteer EMT.
Mm-hmm.
How many people can you say from those years that you know now suffer from PTSD from seeing the horrific accidents, the bodies, the suicides, going to those calls? Do you know any that outwardly have talked about it, or that you personally know are dealing with it?
Yeah.
And obviously we're not naming anybody.
Yeah, I'm not going to name anybody. I know a lot of people struggled when...
Again, no names.
When somebody was lost.
A young firefighter was killed in a fire.
The people that were there with him, that was very traumatic for them.
Now, I want to ask, is that PTSD? Is that survivor's guilt? Is it a combination of both?
They go hand in hand, which I just found that out probably, well, I guess now it's probably been about 15, 20 years. They go hand in hand because you only have the survivor's guilt if something horrific happened and you survived it and somebody you were with did not.
Right.
So they go hand in hand. I will be honest. I've seen a lot. I don't have it. And I guess that's because the tragic scenes that I've seen did not physically happen to me, but I saw them. Seeing somebody end their life, or seeing somebody with the after effects of them ending their life, I guess you can say. To me, the scene it's horrific, it's tragic, but it didn't happen to me.
Didn't happen in front of you.
Right.
You saw the aftermath.
Right. It's... And I think that's probably where a lot of people kind of get a little confused, maybe, in my eyes.
Yeah, my thing was always, I've seen a couple of people get killed. Not people that I knew, but in areas, for whatever was going on at the time. And a couple of people were killed, and there was actually a body dumped out back of my house. Not by me. And it didn't affect me in any way, more than just like, oh damn, like I didn't dream about it, didn't really think about it, talk about it in stories and stuff, but it's not something where I went home or later on in life thought about like, man, that was really fucked up. It was just like,
My son, Thanksgiving night, was going back home, and he was driving down a highway, and there was a horrific accident. He saw the accident happen. He was there when it happened. And him being my child, got out to see if he could help. A body was ejected. The guy was still alive as my son was holding his hand, talking to him, and my son said he saw the life go out of him. That was traumatic to my son. I think it was traumatic because he saw what happened. Like,
and this isn't a knock on your son. Both of you are built different.
Right.
You have a pretty hard exterior and a shell, and you kind of have one of those sense of humors that cops and EMTs that have seen a lot of shit have. You kind of have that morbid sense of humor, and that's just a thing. It's not anybody's fault, and people wouldn't understand it. But
but I think if you don't have it, you're going to burn out real quick.
I mean, it's just some people that have been in the military or police or first responders have that sense of humor where most people would go, what the fuck? And it's like, well, you haven't seen what they've seen, so you don't know.
Even working in the hospital, in all the cases that I've seen. And I've seen a lot, but there was only one that really hit me hard. And again, no PTSD from it, but it rocked me. But even I see people now, and they'll say something happened 15 years ago, and now it's affecting them. Okay, that may be the case, but has anything in your life changed within those 15 years? Somebody who has post-traumatic stress does not wake up 10, 15, 20 years later and all of a sudden now it's affecting them. They don't. They would have changed things. And I think because social media has said, it's okay to have PTSD. It's okay to admit you have it. And I'm fine with that. If somebody has it, don't be ashamed of it.
Yeah, it's now become a catch-all for, I got punched in the face, I got PTSD. No, you don't. You just got punched in the face. You don't have PTSD. They're taking things that, PTSD was like, I would say, like level 10 out of...
So I want to see... There's a specific list... according to...
But PTSD is one of the worst as far as shit you got to deal with. And I'll put this out there, rape victims, people that have just seen way too much death and destruction or had to commit it in the military or in the line of duty as an officer, and has seen... as a first responder, has seen, children in a fire, or children in a car accident, stuff like that. That's PTSD.
So, under the actual PTSD, severe trauma, serious accidents, natural disasters, sudden death of a loved one, I have an issue with the sudden death of a loved one. That does not, and this is what people are saying are triggers for them. I'm sorry, this isn't the definition, these are triggers. And then when it says, when you go under, and I swear by the Mayo Clinic, so when you go under it, it literally has what falls under it. So you would have nightmares about it. And they're not vague nightmares. It's very
vivid.
It's very vivid nightmares. And then you start doing things like, I'll give you an example. And this is I'm a female, so I'm not downplaying rape at all. So please don't think I am. If a woman was at a bar drinking one night, walking home, gets raped, not her fault. She didn't do anything to deserve it. But what do you think two of the things that that woman's probably never going to do again. I was asking you. You're looking. She'll avoid going to a bar again, and she'll avoid drinking again.
I mean, possibly, but I would,
with PTSD, avoidance comes in. So you avoid anything that would trigger back what caused the PTSD. I'll give you another example.
And definitely, as far if you want to put categories of what happened and what we call it PTSD, rape is up there.
I'm not saying rape's not up there, but so you
witnessing a murder of a horrific murder,
right?
And not everybody is going to. There's been people that are in mass shootings that it didn't affect them like negatively really at all, and other people that just happened to be in the building when it happened didn't see anything and they can't function anymore.
Right.
So again, I don't know where the 0 to 10 factor and
so if you're in that building, I can understand the intimate fear that your life could have ended that day. Then the survivor's guilt goes in there too, because why was I spared and two other people that I had class with last period weren't. That I can understand a little bit. But somebody who wasn't at the school that day, was homesick, they're not suffering from anything. They're suffering from loss. They may have lost a friend or somebody.
They could be nervous. They could be anxious about going back to that school. But I don't know if that falls under the heading of PTSD because you didn't witness anything.
So if that was the case, if we were to lay a blanket statement over it.
And again, everybody's different. Some people it's not going to bother. Other people are going to lose their shit.
Right. So any police officer that was shot at, didn't get hit, just was shot at, are they going to suffer from PTSD? If that was the case, most police officers wouldn't last as long as they do. Now, and I happen to have a friend who was a police officer, was shot, went back to work.
And got shot at again.
2 more times in 2 different events.
And is still an officer.
Yep. So everyone's different. I do think people use it as a...
Unfortunately, we've noticed that since, again, I keep bringing up COVID, but that seems to be...
It was before COVID.
It seems to have, to me, it seems to have blown up after COVID, where...
I had students. The dump truck, the truck would be dumping the dumpster, and you know how it has that big bang when it puts the dumpster back down?
Yeah, that sounds nothing like a gunshot.
So, I had a student. It didn't go down. I don't know what happened with the dumpster, but it was a loud bang. It did not sound like them putting the dumpster back down. She jumped and let out a yell. I went, what the hell? She's like, it's post-traumatic stress. I live in the city. Anything like that, I'm hitting the ground. So we opened a discussion in the class about PTSD. And one student made a really good point. If that was the case, if people say because they heard a gunshot, they now suffer from PTSD, and I'm not bashing the city of Philadelphia, but they would never be able to have fireworks. Nobody would ever go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's PTSD, but I mean, you live in some of the neighborhoods in a city, and there's gunfire all the time, and then you're somewhere where you think is safe, and you hear it, it could make you
jump, jittery.
Flinch.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's PTSD or not, or if that's just now learned behavior because of where you live.
Yeah, I don't.
It could be. Again, we are not medical professionals in this field. I'm not a professional in any field.
The plane that went down in Philly.
Northeast.
Yeah. The night it happened, I've sent my students messages because I have students that live in that area. It went down right in front of one of my students' houses. And my first question is, hey, are you okay? Is your house okay? Did anyone get hurt? She has a young son. And when I asked her afterwards, I was like, I check in on them, like, how's your mental? That had to be traumatic. And
yeah, planes dropping out of the sky and landing in front of your house would make me a little nervous.
She said that she was okay, but you would talk to people that were like 6, 7 blocks down, that because they were able to smell the jet fuel, they were freaking out. And she's like, but they didn't. What they saw was the same thing I saw on the news. They weren't able to get anywhere up near it, but because they smelled the jet fuel, they were freaking out.
No, don't live where I live. You smell jet fuel all the time.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Planes fly right over my house.
So yeah, I don't. PTSD, it's a tough one. I mean, would I ever discredit somebody for saying it? I would talk to them first.
Yeah, because I don't know what they've been through.
Right.
But if somebody says,
I had a student.
I watched, I don't know. I'm trying to pick something.
I had a student who said about the shooting.
I watched one of the school shootings at Parkland or Columbine. I watched that documentary. Now I have PTSD. No, you don't.
So yeah,
it just made you. Well, I'll probably get in trouble for this one, but I'd say it just gave you an irrational fear that it's going to happen in your school when it happens in less than, I don't know, 0.5%, whatever it is. The likelihood of that happening is almost zero.
Yeah, the example I gave about the being blocks over, I had a student say that to me. And that's kind of where we talked about what the traumatic, and I asked her, I said, so what traumatic happened to you? Well, I heard it. I said, so what traumatically happened to you? Well, I heard it. I said, did the gunman run by you with the gun out?
Well, again, also, I've said this before, and this is off of, I forget whose podcast I heard them say it, but it makes sense. The worst thing that's ever happened in your life is the worst thing that's ever happened. If you've never had something like anything like that happen and it happens, it's going to be traumatic because you've never dealt with anything like that before.
Well, okay, I agree with that.
Now, is it traumatic, post-traumatic stress disorder? Or are you just scared, nervous, and you need some time for your adrenaline to go down and relax a little bit? I don't know.
That's funny that you say that, though, because if that was the case, you would think more things would set me off.
Well, but again, I'm not blanketing the whole world in that saying. That also depends on your makeup, your mental makeup, and all of that. But say we'll just take two different people. We'll take a cop who was in Afghanistan and Iraq, and now he's a cop, and he was a volunteer EMT. So he's seen literally everything.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, somebody blows up a building, and there's hundreds of bodies everywhere, and that now is the worst thing that's ever happened. All this stuff from
I'm trying to look something up. So
all this stuff from the war, law enforcement, EMT, now just got trumped by that situation. So that is now the worst thing that's happened to him. Where you take somebody else who's never been in a fight, never had an argument, never been in a car accident, never had their power go out, and they're 22, and all of a sudden their car breaks down on a back road somewhere. that's now traumatic for them because that's literally the worst thing that's ever happened in their life. Now, does that mean that that's PTSD? No, but it's still, for them, it's traumatic because they've never had anything happen to them. And for that law enforcement officer who's seen 30 years of shit and now sees that, and that's the breaking point, you know,
excuse me,
it's the worst. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Right. I completely understand that. And yes, things are traumatic to certain people that aren't to other people. The one thing I was looking up, I wanted to make sure I worded it right. The word fear, it can have two meanings. Face everything and rise above, or face everything and run away. No. It's face everything.
That would be fear.
It's face everything and rise, or face everything and run.
That's fight or flight.
Right. Well, no, not necessarily, because you have choices. And that's kind of what it's saying. Like, you can have a choice where something happened and you can try to face it, or you can run. I'm not talking, it doesn't have to necessarily be a traumatic thing, but...
Okay, but that also comes back to mental makeup.
Exactly. Well, not even mental makeup, just what you're willing to deal with.
It's not what you're willing to deal with. It's what you're able to deal with.
Okay, I'll go back to your flat tire.
Say a flat tire. I said the car broke down.
Okay. Oh, we'll go one better, a flat tire. You can change a flat tire, right?
I can. Maybe they can't.
Okay. But...
And they've got no phone signal. And they're out in the middle of nowhere. And they have no idea what to do.
So you can either...
Now, all of that stuff could have been avoided by learning that shit or having somebody teach you that shit. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, it depends on... Again, that's with the post-traumatic stress, it's a little different. I just think that I'm not going to sit there and tell somebody you shouldn't have post-traumatic stress from that. I do think that they use it as a... I don't want to say...
It's an overused diagnosis.
Big time. I've seen people that have been like, well, I was diagnosed with it. Okay, well, hell.
Here's one that'll be like...
I took the test. What test?
On Google.
I mean...
I took the Instagram test.
Or, well, this happened to me, so I automatically have post-traumatic stress. No.
I'll give you one that's like current day. So we've got all the people that protest every fucking thing that comes down the street. Doesn't matter what it is.
Okay.
And they're in the protest, or what they call a protest, where shit's getting broken and set on fire, and suddenly they get shoved to the ground and pepper sprayed. And they're in court suing the law enforcement agency because they now have post-traumatic stress disorder from that altercation. Fuck you. That is not PTSD.
I'll give you one better.
And you brought that on yourself. Self-inflicted shit, I don't know count. Maybe there's a doctor out there that'll say, oh yeah, you can have PTSD from self-inflicted.
I'll give you a better one.
Dumb shit, but...
A guy broke into a person's house. I learned this when I was in ELAC school. Broke into a person's house. Got stuck in their... I guess it was like a very small garage. Like, they broke into the garage.
Got stuck in the garage.
Got stuck in the garage. Couldn't get into the house. Was stuck there for hours. Like... I'm talking like 15 hours.
Let me guess now, has PTSD.
Yep, sued the family because they did not have an out when he got stuck in there, and he suffers from post-traumatic stress.
Too bad that wasn't in somebody's house that had a...
so
and they could have solved his problem real quick.
Well, nobody was home when it happened, but here's my thing. if you are breaking the law,
fuck you.
Then no. Or I'll give you a better case. Any SA cases and
what?
SA, sexual assault, sorry. Cases where the person fights back and the other person gets significantly hurt. You were doing something wrong. If that person defended themselves and you got hurt and now you're saying that you're suffering, oh well. Like
Well, it's I'm just using the modern day stuff because you see them assaulting law enforcement officers in these so-called peaceful protests, and then they get knocked to the ground, whether it's this country or another country. I actually like the way that other countries handle it, but whatever. And then they get sprayed, and now they're like in court or they're crying on a news channel, and they can't sleep at night. Well, who the fuck told you to, like, you did that shit yourself.
I think
apparently you can't cry victim when you're the aggressor and then somebody punches you in the mouth. That's not how this works.
I think most people that truly have PTSD don't wear it as a badge of honor.
And that's another problem with society.
I think somebody who, and I know people, and I'm sure everyone knows people. I know quite a few people that have it. I've seen what it does to them. I've seen.
And they're not on social media bragging about it.
No, I've seen it.
You know how many times I heard your dad bring it up?
Probably never.
Exactly.
You want to offend my dad?
No, I don't.
It doesn't really offend him, but he'll say.
I try to avoid it.
When someone says to him, "You have issues," that's one thing that bothers him.
Even jokingly.
Well, I do it jokingly because, and he'll be like, "I can't stand when people say it," and I said, "Real?" He's like, "Well, I know you're joking, but no, people when they say it, like when they be like, you sounds like you have issues or something like that, like that bothers him because." And I say this a lot. Unless you can walk a mile in that person's shoes, shut your mouth. And I'm not trying to be rude, but you don't know what someone is going through or what they've been through. And I look at my dad. I'll look at, other vets. When I was working in one of the offices I worked at, I met a vet. He was young. He was young when he came home. He got hurt, and we were talking about something about him going to another appointment for something, and he brought it up. And he said, one of the biggest problems is somebody looks at me and they can't see what I'm going through. And I said, I get that. And he goes, they say, all right, well, you served in the military. He goes, one of the questions I get all the time, well, were you honorably discharged or not? And he goes,
what does that got to do with anything?
And he goes, it's almost like they look at a medical discharge as not the same as doing all your time. He goes, I would have went back, and he couldn't have went back with his injuries. But and like he said, he goes, there's more help for vets now than there were years ago. I will say that there's a lot more help. But the problem is a lot of the vets don't want to get the help because they're afraid it makes them look weak. And it doesn't by any means. And I've seen it. But now I'll go another one. There is a difference between a Vietnam vet and a Vietnam era vet.
A combat vet as opposed to just staying here in country or whatever.
Right. So this is probably going to ruffle some feathers, and if it does,
I think me and you are going to have a difference of opinion on this, but go ahead.
I don't think somebody who was not there, who was stateside or in Germany or wherever they were, sitting in an office can say that that war had the same effect on them as somebody in the front line.
No, but they deserve the same amount of respect for wearing the uniform.
Don't claim you're a Vietnam vet. Claim you're a Vietnam era vet. It is different. They didn't see the same stuff. Their life wasn't.
Was that by choice? Or
yes.
That's what they got assigned to?
No, usually it's by choice because of what area you go into.
Not in Vietnam.
And I know a bunch of them that because of the area they went into, it was almost guaranteed. It was guaranteed.
How many people in Vietnam had the choice to go into a certain area? Most were drafted and put right into the infantry.
Oh no, these are people that took like inventory jobs or electronic jobs or stuff like that where they knew they weren't going over. Like,
yeah, but you don't get the choice to take them. If you have the aptitude for it and the military needs it, they'll put you there.
Right. I mean,
you don't have the choice. As far as I know, mostly if you have a choice, it's by the time you get to be a certain level of a certain branch.
No, you can, even back then.
You don't walk in as a private and go, hey, I'm just going to do desk duty.
No, but you can tell them what your interest is going in when you take your ASVAB.
But then it's the military's choice where to put you.
Right, but
I don't think it's, if they wanted to put person A in, drop them in the middle of Hanoi, then that's where they were going, whether they liked it or not.
I just don't think the people that were stateside or nowhere near in country.
I didn't say that obviously they didn't go through being shot at. They didn't go through friends being killed next to them. They didn't go through seeing dead bodies. They didn't go through all that. I'm just saying they deserve the same respect because they put the uniform on and they signed up. So I don't care as far as that goes. I'm still thanking you for your service.
I'm not saying don't thank them for their service.
Now, if they're going to go around and, it was really tough for me. Oh, what did you do? I was in an office in Oklahoma. Well,
that's my issue. They just say, well, I was a Vietnam vet. It's not the same. I'm sorry. And again, just my opinion. If it offends you, okay. I mean, but I just don't, they're a Vietnam era vet. And if you ask a Vietnam vet.
Well, at some of that, you're not being real objective because of your dad. And I understand that.
His brother was a Vietnam era vet.
I know, but nobody's going to put that word in there, except people that have family that were in country.
No, and this was the first time I ever saw it. I was at we were down Tennessee. I forget where we were. So you have the Vietnam hats, Vietnam vet hats. You have like the Army hats and all that, and one said Vietnam era vet. That was the first time I've ever seen it. And I said to my dad, I said, really? And he said, yeah, it's more prominent down south. They're very more military friendly, I guess you could say.
Well, isn't that also the difference? And again, I'm pleading ignorance on this one. You might know. A VFW stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Correct.
That is for ones who were deployed
and fought in a foreign war.
Mm-hmm. Legions are for people who were in the military, retired, but were not.
For anybody.
Oh, they're for anybody.
A legion could be anyone who has service connection, yes.
Whether they were in combat or not.
Correct.
Okay. I thought legions were like not combat.
No, anyone could join the Legion. So, okay. and this is...
That's why I said I was pleading ignorance because I wasn't sure.
So, yeah, my dad is a member of an American Legion. My dad's also a member of a VFW. His brother could not join a VFW.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was saying. Like,
yeah, VFW, you had to actually fight in the country. And a Legion, anyone could join the Legion.
You had to be deployed to a combat zone.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think and again,
If we're wrong, go ahead and put it in the comments.
I went through it with my dad when we joined because I wanted to join. I was a member of the Legion for a while. It fell under my dad's.
As a social member.
Yeah. But with the PTSD, I think everyone.
I think it's also like anything. There's various levels, degrees. Some people don't suffer from it at all and have seen a lot of horrific shit, and it just rolls off their back. And somebody could see one thing and be just messed up for the rest of their life.
And remember, it doesn't necessarily have to. You have to be affected by it, but it didn't have to happen to you. So, like he said, seeing somebody shot in front of you, or seeing an accident where somebody was decapitated or something like that, it didn't happen to you.
You gotta go straight to the worst scenario possible.
Well, I mean, it didn't happen to you, but yes, that can leave an effect. But because you read the story in the newspaper doesn't mean it affects you. I think that's the difference.
It could upset you. It could make you a little angry or a little nervous, but it should not send you to therapy.
I'll give you an example.
No offense.
I'll give you an example. We watched The Crash.
Oh, the documentary.
Yes.
I was like, I've seen plenty of crashes.
Okay. In the courtroom, they showed the video and you heard the car coming long before you saw it. And then you heard the crash. Oh my God. I now suffer from PTSD. I heard that was so dramatic. Or so traumatic. It was traumatic. 2 people lost their lives. I'm not downplaying that. God, it was traumatic. The 2 people had to lose their lives for that.
2 people were murdered.
Right. They were murdered and she's in jail for a long time. But
not long enough.
Just because we saw the video and we heard it does not mean that we can sit there and say we suffer from post-traumatic stress. Now, can the firefighters who rolled up on that? Absolutely.
The cop that was at the scene and discovered all 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to be honest, I went to some pretty intense calls. Do I think I suffer from PTSD? No, I don't. Clinically, could somebody disagree with me? Maybe. I don't know. I have a very odd makeup, though.
You also have a very thick outer shell that deflects a lot of that stuff.
I mean, I think anyone who's a first responder or in that field, whether it's police, fire, EMS, or nurses, doctors, I think they have to. I do. I don't think because you're.
Oh, there's some that end up having to quit because they just can't take it anymore.
And that's what I was going to say. You're not going to last very long.
I know of somebody who was working at a nursing / kind of hospice and, it just quit because they couldn't deal with that anymore.
I'm not trying to be funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny at all. But how do I say this? Going into that field, that's one of the hardest. I give hospice nurses all the credit in the world. That's one of the hardest things. That's one of the hardest departments to work in as a nurse because.
Well, it was a nursing facility that had a hospice unit. So I don't know that they were in the hospice unit. They were in the nursing facility.
Oh.
But dealing with patients constantly dying. These patients that basically this facility, I'm not even sure it's still open. It shouldn't be. But if you came there, you were probably going to die there. So.
In the hospice part, I get, but you mean in the facility in general?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I don't mean because of neglect, just because of their age, their physical condition. They were going to that's where they were going to spend the rest of their life.
So it wasn't a place like that had a sniff unit.
I don't know.
Okay, so
I'll tell you the place afterwards. You know it, but
I will tell you right now.
But after a couple of years, they had to get out and I don't know if they got out of nursing completely, but it fucked them up, and they just couldn't do it anymore.
So when you're in nursing school and you go to pick the area you want to work in, one of the things I asked you is, the top two is usually labor and delivery. Everyone wants to do labor and delivery. I tell my students now that want to go into nursing, I want to do labor and delivery. I said, hold on. It's not all fun, these cute little babies coming into the world. You do lose babies.
You're going to be able to handle a dead baby.
Right. So when you're in this field, you have to understand there's loss.
A lot.
If you work hospice, that's all it's going to be. None, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say none of your patients are coming out alive. You're going in to have what is called palliative care. You're not treating anything anymore. Now you're just making them comfortable so they can transition. Working in an ER. You don't always see death in an ER. You do a lot, but not always. People come in the ER because they have a UTI. They have a nosebleed. They want a pregnancy test. Anything. So, and then you get the ones that die. There's certain ones that stick with you and other ones that not so much.
Now, and in that work field, you could also develop thick skin over time. It could bother you in the beginning, and then you get desensitized over time. Or
thick skin or desensitized?
To me, it's the same thing.
It's not, because if you're desensitized, you're not going to treat the patients the same, unfortunately, usually.
I'm not saying you're desensitized to people. You're desensitized to the death.
Maybe.
So the death itself doesn't affect you the way it did the first, the second, the third.
Yeah, depending what part of a hospital you work in.
I would say I would rather have somebody that's desensitized and thick skin, because thick skin are those old nurses that you knew that were just nasty as fuck, and just you didn't want to deal with them.
And then I think those nurses shouldn't be working anymore.
Well, I'm going back.
Oh, yeah. But I mean,
I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about back in the day.
In that part, I'd say there's probably two that stand out the most to me. EMS, I probably have more. But I don't think either one of them, they left marks on me, yes, but nothing, not for the reason people would probably think. And I'm not saying because they died didn't bother me, but I mean, I worked for a doctor's office for years, and to this day, I still check the obituaries every day to see if there's anything with patients in there, any of my patients.
It's also the kind of person they were, and I'm not saying if they were an asshole, then see ya, but I kind of feel that way.
And how it happened.
How it happened. Did they have people in their life? Did they die alone? All that stuff factors into how you're going to feel about it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so I guess
somebody who was really nice and there was nobody there and they're dying alone, like that's more upsetting than some jerk off that's surrounded by a bunch of shitheads and they croak. That's not going to bother me.
So one of the things, I'm not going to mention the hospital I worked at, but that we used to do is if they were that close in the ER by themselves, somebody would stay in the room with them. I'm also very, as much of a hard ass as I can be, when it comes to that stuff, I'm very compassionate.
It's true.
But I don't let it, I can't let it, if I let it get to me, I'm not going to be able to do my job. I guess that's how I look at it.
Well, yeah.
And that's with everything. Like, even the situation I had with my son when he burned his foot with a marshmallow. I went into, we got to do.
If anybody is saying this and you're like, why are you laughing at it? I've heard this story and it's kind of funny. I'm sure it wasn't funny at the time.
I thought it was.
And that doesn't surprise me.
No, hold on.
And I'm sure son still has a scar from it.
No, he doesn't, because Mama is amazing. Moral of the story, do not sit by a campfire roasting marshmallows barefooted. Marshmallows have plastic in it. Did you know that? They have some type of, like, the same material as, like, plastic or something.
It shouldn't.
It might not be plastic,
what dollar store marshmallows were you eating?
No, it might not be plastic. It's something that's like that. That's why it melts the way it does.
It's like,
I thought it was just sugar.
It's like sugar and gelatin or something.
Maybe it's the gelatin that they're talking about. I don't know. All I know is we're sitting there.
I mean, you can make it at home. I think with just sugar and cream or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's the way you do it that it turns out that way. Maybe somebody knows how to make it.
But he's sitting there and he calls me Mama. Mama, look. And he's going like that, and it's on fire, and it just drops right onto his bare foot.
Can I ask how old he was? Please tell me it was like under 15.
Oh, yeah, he was. My mom is still alive, so he was like 6, 7.
Oh, okay.
And
so that was your fault.
What, the barefooted?
The whole incident.
No, it wasn't my fault. He might have been 8. I think it might have been the summer before my mom passed. But he jumps up. The funny part was he jumps up, his pants go down. Because he had sweatpants when he went down. I'm sitting there with 2 other EMTs, a firefighter. It's like crazy. And I'm just like telling them what to get. And I kicked right into EMT mode. Did everything we had to do, ran to the pharmacy, got the medicine, got the Silvadine. Everything was fine. To this day, he does not. And he did. He ended up with, I want to say 2nd-degree burns, but he doesn't have a scar because I was very, like, Silvadine every so many hours, wrapped it. He was very lucky. But
and that Silvadine works amazing.
You would think that would, and he'll joke about it. He'll be like, don't bring out the marshmallows. It's traumatizing to me, but he's not. Like, to him, but yeah, I didn't even kick into mom mode. After everything was said and done, I called my dad. I'd already talked to the doctor because I worked for the doctor. I called my dad. I was like, this happened. Do. And this is what I did. Do. And my dad was like, you did everything you could. There wasn't a step you missed.
I guess that would explain his being upset when I almost lit him on fire with the
fireworks
last year.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes, he
I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but
he has a little bit of a fear. I was more worried about the car. He has a little bit of a fear of fire. But yeah, going back to the PT, I don't know. It's sad. My heart goes out to anyone who suffers with PTSD.
And if there's anybody that sees this and is willing to talk about it, contact us and we can figure out a way to do a Zoom thing if you want to discuss it, and you could probably educate us on it.
Yeah, and even if you think the way you developed it doesn't make sense to somebody, let us know. I mean, you can get PTSD from a bunch of different things. So,
and me, for the longest time, I blew everybody off that wasn't in, like, the military or a cop. Like, when I was a kid and a young adult growing up, I was like, well, PTSD is just a new word for shell shock, so you don't have it.
I'll give you another.
Because I didn't know. I was ignorant.
With my dad, when he got out of the military, he was a Medicare. There was a fire. It was a horrendous fire. He wasn't even running with the fire company. He was, but he wasn't on that night. He actually was working for the hospital, and he had the agent at the house. And my uncle, everyone in my family is firefighters. My uncle handed out a very young child through the window who did not make it. and the news was there. People were taking pictures, and my dad's not one that you want to piss off. My dad took the baby, put him in the age unit, and took him to the hospital. He was gone. There was nothing they could do. There was 3 calls that bothered my father. That was one of them. And all 3 of them involved children. There was a call in another town.
You talk about mine?
No, that didn't bother them because that was their stupidity. I'm not saying that didn't, but no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it wasn't somebody else's fault. Like these were ones that were somebody else's fault. That's what I mean. A little girl got hit by a car. By a firefighter going to a call, which is one of the biggest things you say.
Oh, the blue light guys?
Yeah. And this had to be 40 years ago, probably now.
Drive like fucking idiots just to cause an accident because you were trying to get to the firehouse to go to an accident. Genius.
And it was
I've seen that so many times. It's fucking ridiculous.
It was like a grass fire or something. It wasn't even a working building fire. Anyway, that call really bothered him. And the other one was another fire where by the time they got into the door, the wife and the kids were right by the door. That one bothered him. All the other calls, and I mean, he did walking up and down tracks, picking up body. They were the ones that he really dwells on. I know the one where they handed the baby out the window bothered him probably the most. But yet he kept getting up, going back to work every day. And he saw some horrible ones.
And that's where I go, he's doing what he's got to do. And then you've got other people who saw somebody get punched in the face and now have to quit their job and sit at home on 6 different kinds of medications because they're traumatized.
So, all right, let me ask you this.
I guess I can't say that they weren't traumatized, but it sounds like bullshit.
All right, so let me ask you this. Somebody who's...
I don't know.
Working at a store and they're robbed.
I've been robbed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We've talked about 4 attempts in like 5 months.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would that fall under it? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure where the line would be drawn.
It's also the person. It's because those didn't bother me. Like, I didn't go home. You know, now, the only one that I know that definitely had a gun was one of them. The other 3, if they did, they didn't show them. Now, I had one, and a couple people saw them. But I didn't. It's again, we've talked about this before. It's just weird that I didn't get nervous in those situations. And I just went back to, whether it was the guy that was trying to steal my car, which that wasn't that big of a deal, or to actually getting hands on me or getting close, or I could tell it was a setup. The one that I saw the gun was the setup, which I could tell when I just left. The other one, I got punched in the side of the head, disabled that one, drew my weapon. The other one screamed like a girl and took off running, and they both split. The other one, I was right next to my car. I just spotted at the last second the guy coming across the street at me, and was able to spin away, get in my car, and just take off. The other one, I was in the store walking out, and I see my car backing up, and that's when I drew on the guy, and he just got out of the car. I was like, at least you could have done was put it in park, and he took off running. I just got in it, pulled back up, got the delivery, and delivered it, and kept going on about my way.
All right, how about somebody who they're robbed and they tie them up and they shove them in a closet? That I can understand being traumatic.
Well, I'm not saying that anything that
No, but that's what
I
I'm saying.
went through wasn't traumatic for somebody. It just wasn't for me.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's different levels.
Like, you know, I didn't quit because of that. I had worked another 6 or 7 months. The job was just dying off, and it just wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there's different levels. Like, I can understand if somebody walks into your business, they tie you up, they shove you in a room, and
I've also had, when I was younger or whatever, I'd been shot at on 2 different occasions. I'd been in a couple of hairy situations that could have gotten, real ugly or uglier. They didn't affect me then. I don't know if it did those things prepare me for later on to not,
yeah, I don't know.
to not be. I'll say the first time it happened, the one that I had called you and said I'm heading home, that one made me a little like, I think I was more pissed that I didn't see it coming. And I was just like, I'm just going to go home. But I went back out the next night and went to work. And the other ones, I just stayed out and worked. I didn't go home or,
Yeah, I'm trying to
or
think.
quit doing it because of it. And I worked the worst hours in some of the crappiest neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think if I can say anything that's.
And when I was younger, yeah, there were some situations where there was some gunplay. There was some dumb shit that could have landed people, seriously injured, dead, or in jail. I had seen stuff when I was younger, being around my dad and some of the people he hung with. So I guess people go, oh, well, you saw that shit when you were 7, 8, 9,
I
10,
don't think that matters.
11, 12, like bloodshed, stuff like that. So that just prepare you for later on. And then, when you're in your late teens and you may or may not be on some kind of substances, you feel invincible. Especially in late teens, early 20s. I drove like a lunatic, the motorcycle, drag racing, street racing, whatever we were doing, and it, like, nothing's going to happen to me until it does. So I don't know. Was I desensitized? Was I just always, for the panic disorder, the anxiety, the what if thinking, the stuff when I was a kid, you would think that kind of shit would just set you off to be way worse than I am. But same thing as car accidents. I don't freak out. I don't even get nervous. I get more nervous when I have to freaking, like, try to get out to the hematologist to have my blood drawn. I get more nervous and, the nervous stomach and all that I do if I'm in a decent to, moderate car accident. And just,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
can name, I won't name, but yeah, there's been things where, in theory, that have happened where I guess was traumatic to me, and I guess shortly thereafter there was some issues, but I think, I don't know, I don't want to say I put it out of my mind, but I think I just.
Well, I'll bring up one thing with you that I know is no, you weren't on life support, but you came pretty close to dying with the stroke, the clotting, and all of that. Like,
Right.
it wouldn't have taken much more for you to just been out. So I don't know if that gives you a sense of, well, I was already there, so I'm not going to worry about this other shit because it could go at any time kind of mentality.
I don't. Well, even if it does, but that shouldn't stop something from happening to me. Have some type of adverse reaction down the line, like
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is that something that where you have a near-death experience and it gives you a different outlook of, I'm just going to live my life and I'm not going to worry about that shit. I'm not going to let it affect me.
stuff that's in your control, probably.
Even stuff that's out of your control. I mean, a car accident. Some idiot is texting and T-bones you. That's not your fault. But do you let it send you down a road, or do you get the car fixed and go about your business? I know you get the car, you're cursed the guy out for a while, but then you're going to get the car fixed. If you got an injury, you'll get that taken care of and you'll move on to it, and you won't skip a beat with schooling or work or whatever. You'll just continue to move forward.
Right.
Where other people may just, I'm never driving again. This injury is going to affect me for the rest of my life.
I think it would depend on how bad the car accident was. For me, yeah, and it would have had to been something pretty significant for me to. But I think like. Even the accident I was in with my son where he hurt his ankle and the car was totaled. It didn't stop me from doing anything, or, I mean, the cops stopped me from doing something there. But I mean, besides that, they didn't stop me. I didn't stop driving. But I think certain things, you deal with at the time. And I would say there's like a balloon time around that where it still affects you.
Yeah, but there's some people that it just, for some reason, they carry that with them the rest of their lives.
And that could be two things. Do they not deal with it?
Whether it's warranted or not, or is it I'm the victim, playing the victim thing?
Okay, yeah, that could be it.
Or is it the most traumatic thing they've been through and they just can't get past it?
But so
I don't know.
If it's the most traumatic thing they've been through and they can't get past it, in my eyes, that would alter their life.
That's what I'm saying. They let it alter their lives.
Right, but I'm sure there's people
where they quit driving or they can't work anymore and they're, they become reclusive. And I know I'm stretching this out a little bit, but,
But I guess my thing is, how can you have something that was so traumatic happen to you that you can live your normal life, but only at times do you bring up this tragic event and say...
I didn't say they're living in a...
No, that's what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying. I agree with you.
You're talking about a different example.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they're living a normal life, but then flip a switch and, oh my God,
that sounds like somebody who just wants to be a victim at that moment.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, that's not post-traumatic stress.
Like, I need some attention. I need some sympathy. Let me bring this up.
Right. I don't think that's post-traumatic stress. I'm not downplaying what may have happened to anyone, but if it's going to alter your life, it's going to alter your life. It's not like a light switch where you can just turn it on and off. If that was the case, people with mental health would always constantly have that light switch off. Don't you think?
What do you mean?
If you could just turn that switch on and off when you want something to affect you and not affect you.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think post-traumatic stress works that way.
I don't have control of what pops into my head, unfortunately. And I know people will say, sure you do. No, I don't. Or you can choose to not listen to it, and no, I don't hear voices. It's just me going, food wise, we'll just talk about, like, something doesn't look right, I'm not eating it. Even though it's perfectly fine, I'm not eating it. And people, well, just go eat it. I can't. I can't force myself to eat it. That would be like forcing myself to just step in front of a bus. There's that self-preservation switch that your brain has, and that's what my analogy is for that kind of stuff. Same thing with medications. If I think it's going to cause a problem, I don't care what the situation is. It's not going down my throat. I'm not taking it.
Right. And the same, like, my dad can't control if he sees a flash from an oil refinery that it's not going to flash him back. He can't control that. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Just like the panic attacks.
Right.
I can avoid all the shit I want. If something pops up and it happens, I didn't know.
I just read an article that, and it was kind of, it was about anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and stuff like that. People, the way they cope. And I like what this one doctor said. The one doctor said, if we can tell you what is going to set off a panic attack, we could cure you. We can't tell you what's going to set off the panic attack, because you can do one thing on a Monday, not have a panic attack. Do the same thing on Tuesday.
I'm calling bullshit on the cure, because is the cure not doing it?
No, and this is...
Because that's not a cure. That's just taking things out of your life.
No, he is saying to figure out what's setting the panic attacks off, how to cure them.
Okay, let's use me as an example, since I have it. So, being trapped, an unfamiliar place, broken down, whatever.
Okay.
Digestive stuff. How is he curing that?
So, and the whole idea is, if they know what sets it off, they can work on ways to cure it. Not saying don't go anywhere where you're going to get trapped, but to tell you, all right, if you start to get trapped, we know a panic attack's going to start. We want you to do X, Y, and Z prior to it, so it doesn't go in. It would depend what the situation is.
I already know that. Turn around and go the other way.
But no, he's saying before the attack comes on, so you would be able to. His example was. The example was...
I would like to read this article and talk to this, because it sounds like bullshit.
If Monday you get up, you brush your teeth, wash your face, get dressed, have breakfast, go to work, everything's fine. On Tuesday, if you get up, brush your teeth, wash your face, get dressed, get ready for work, eat breakfast, and then go to work, and you have a panic attack, obviously it's not something that you're doing.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, I know what set mine off.
You've never had a panic attack when you weren't doing any of them.
In the beginning.
That's what he's saying.
But the past 20 years, it's getting trapped, it's getting stuck, it's getting digestive issues that get bad enough to where that happens. But you can't cure that. I'm going to say, I'll just put this out there. In my opinion, there is no cure for mental illness. There's treatments.
Well, okay, so...
There's no cures.
But that was what the whole point that he was trying to get to is, if we knew... All right, I guess his theory was, if we knew the chemical reason of why it would trigger it.
Oh.
That's kind of what the whole thing was. He goes, and we don't.
And they'll never know.
And that's what he said. He goes, you'll never know, because it's different with everybody. And he, like, it's, if you think about it, if you do the same thing every day, like clockwork, eat the same thing, drink the same thing, brush your hair the same time, brush your teeth the same time, and you still have a panic attack, it's not your routine. Mental illness is a chemical imbalance.
No, it's has nothing to do with the routine.
And that's kind of...
And we've talked about this in past episodes where, and I always say, again, sorry if I use a lot of quotes from movies, mashed potato doesn't mean gravy. Meaning, just because I was able to do this doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do this.
Right.
Or I could do this on this day, but but I can't do it on this day.
And that's what he was saying. He was like, every day is different. And the one, it all started, they were doing an experiment in a school. I'll have to see if I can get it. It went to my work email. I don't know if I saved it or not. But they were doing this thing in a school. And that's how it all started. And the kid was saying that he doesn't understand if he does the same thing every day, why he's not getting the same response of his body every day. He has very bad panic attacks and stuff like that. And that's more or less what like they were trying to explain, that it's a chemical imbalance. It has nothing, I hate saying it has nothing to do with what you're doing, but it's the way your brain is going to fire off.
Well, I mean, you could not have any physical issues or mental health issues and do the same thing every day and not feel the same.
Right.
Your body is, as far as I'm concerned, the medical field knows about maybe 10% of how the body works.
And everybody's different. Just because we all have hearts, brains, blood pumping through us does not mean we are the same. I say that all the time.
This thing up here controls everything, and apparently it's different in everybody. You know, what works for one person is like medications. I don't know. I tried 5 or 6 or more that didn't do shit for me.
Right.
But the one that did is one that shouldn't have.
So imagine being a twin. You have a identical twin.
That's a horror story.
You're identical, right? Everything's the same.
Except the way you think.
Bingo. Which means one twin could be perfectly fine. The other one could be a schizophrenic. It's not everyone is the same. And, you know, I think when it comes to any type of and PTSD, it's not genetic. Something happens.
Yeah. PTSD is not one of those that's just, I don't put it in bipolar, schizophrenic, panic disorder, borderline personality disorder, stuff like that. You have to be in something, witness something, have something happen to you for that to happen. And where the other things can just come out of nowhere for no reason.
And I also think with PTSD, it's a lifelong treatment. It's not something, if you have an anxiety attack, you can take a medication at that time to help ease it up. You might not be on daily medication or daily. When I say treatment, it's not just medication, therapy and stuff like that. PTSD is something that it takes years for you to get coping skills with it.
Yes, but I'll also say that's the same thing for bipolar, schizophrenia, panic disorder.
I said anxiety. If you have an anxiety attack, you can take a medication and it'll stop the anxiety attack. Right? Like it'll make it. It won't stop it, but it'll make it.
No, it'll stop it.
But I can't give somebody who has PTSD.
But it doesn't mean that the anxiety attacks aren't going to continue.
Right.
And possibly get worse. And then other things, I'm just using me as an example because I'm the one that I know, where it just snowballed into where I'm at now.
Right.
Or, sorry, dinner. Or where I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, again.
Okay, so that comes back to this. Do you think if you would have had therapy when it started, it'd be different?
No.
Do you think if they would have had medication when it first started, it would have been different?
No.
You think you still would have reacted the same way?
I think a lot of things would have had to be different.
Okay, so I understand that, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't know that I ever would have been quote unquote normal again, or not developed the what if thinking and the agoraphobia. I don't know. But there would have been a degree of something for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been because you have something.
Yeah, it's not, I don't care what they say, what they know, what they do. I know there's people that have been able to, again, I always use the music industry, have been able to resume going back on tour and stuff like that. They don't release or talk about what they did to get there. Are they on massive amounts of medication? Do they have a therapist traveling with them? Do they have,
Or did they do intense therapy for a,
did they try psychedelics? Did they try, did they find a medication that just, oh, you know what? I feel like I can do all this shit again.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. For me, I just one day went, this is just how I am.
yes. I mean, I think, and unfortunately, with PTSD, by the time it's diagnosed, it's usually years after the trauma has happened.
And again, most people would look at it and go, oh, well, of course he doesn't like fireworks because of the war. It's not just that.
It's
not.
Again, as a child, he used to bring us all the time.
It's not the noise and the flash. It's what the memories that come along with it. It's not that at least who I've talked to, it's not just the boom. It's what happened when they were there, when that boom happened, is what is setting them off.
He was in, I think, where do they do the reenactment of the war? Williamsport?
They do them all over the place. Williamsburg?
Williamsburg? Do they do something there?
They have the old settlement there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm assuming they do reenactments. I don't know.
He took my uncle somewhere.
But I mean, they do them at Brandywine.
No, it wasn't.
Gettysburg.
Yeah, it wasn't around here.
Fort Mifflin.
He took my uncle somewhere, and they were doing a reenactment, and they were setting off the cannons. And my uncle's like, oh, this is real good. And my dad said to my uncle, he's like, I need to go. I need to walk over there. I need to. And my uncle left with him.
But your dad's has gone and been a EMT at reenactments or a medic.
Years ago, yes.
Yeah.
That's
So that's like the weird thing. It's like he was able to do that then, but he wouldn't be able to do it now.
That's what I was trying to say. A lot of times with post-traumatic stress, it doesn't come out until years after the trauma.
But he loves skydiving. He literally went 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
2. He actually went every year. He went for his 70th birthday is when I started taking him. And were we together the first year I took him?
I think so.
I think it was for his 70th. Yeah, and he'll be 78 in August. So, yeah, I guess we were together.
It was right over
in Jersey.
It wasn't down the shore. It was right over there.
Yeah. So every year I started for his 70th birthday. He went for the 70th, 71st, 72nd, 73rd, 74th, and 75th. The last 2 years they didn't do it.
Right.
Last year was because of the tragic accident that happened, and the year before that was because of the weather. But
and again, like backstory, he was airborne. He was a Green Beret, so they jumped out of. He had extensive experience parachuting into landing zones and stuff, and being dragged by the back of a plane doing what do they call it, monkey drags or something.
I don't know.
He had some weird name for it, where the plane you would just be hooked up to a harness and flying out the back of the plane as it flew, and I don't know.
I will tell you, he will talk to certain people about everything.
Me.
But a lot of time, I'll just sit there and let him talk. He's been doing that a lot with my son, and if it makes him, I don't want to say feel better, but if it makes him cope better, then chat away,
We've sat for when your son's graduation from high school, we were sitting out back and everybody was there. Basically, just me and him talking about guns and ammo and the war and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just so I guess again, just like everything else, PTSD doesn't have a look to it. But if somebody does something that seems odd to you, keep in mind it could be because of PTSD or some type of thing that they're going through. Again,
could be a lot of reasons.
Right. I mean, fireworks, stuff like that is a simple trigger to set them off. I did not know until years later about the oil refineries.
Makes sense.
With the glow,
that something got blown up in your fuel depot or your barracks or something are on fire.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's like he said, I think it's overdiagnosed for reasons that it shouldn't be.
Overdiagnosed, but over self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
I would say probably is more accurate, where, again, people who claim to be bipolar and schizophrenic and panic disorder and social anxiety disorder, everything that's out there, and people just, oh yeah, I got that. Autism's another one where people, I don't know when it became cool to have a mental illness. It seems to be a thing where people who don't have it
want it.
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
It used to be a thing where you didn't want to be labeled that way.
I have 2 nephews that are autistic that they're night and day from each other. And
yeah, but they're both like
thriving.
Like super geniuses and shit. It's like really annoying.
And the younger one has, within the 10 years that you've been around, you've seen it change. So when people sit there and go, well,
he wouldn't come around me, and then last year he came up and hugged me, which I was like,
he's very friendly, and this is from a kid who used to cover his ears and shake all the time. He's thrived. So I think a lot of mental illnesses now, people, again, like you said, it's almost like cool to have them, and it downplays it for the ones who really do, which breaks my heart, which is why we started this podcast.
And one other thing I'll say is, just because you have a mental illness and you can't do something, and somebody else has the same mental illness and they can, doesn't mean that they don't. It just means that they're able to do it and you can't. It's not a plus or a negative. It's not they're full of shit. Because there are people that have panic disorder that are on TV. It amazes the shit out of me. I don't know how they do it, but that doesn't mean that they don't have it. It just means that doesn't trigger them.
And I think a lot of it, like you said, is degrees. There's certain degrees of it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and again.
And I only know my panic disorders or my panic attacks. So for me, I just go, well, that's a panic attack, so you ain't doing shit. Maybe your panic attack feels different.
And like you said,
I don't know.
If it's the worst thing that's ever happened to him, then that's the worst thing that's ever happened. Yeah. All right. Till the next episode, guys. Bye.